Hi, welcome to Peace Punk Production. This is Kat Gambini, and I want to talk about you guys, actually, because I don't even know what to say. I'm overwhelmed because I made a video just now, and I wasn't going to put it out there because I wasn't perfect. I didn't look perfect. And I was criticizing myself. I was like, just things I was finding wrong because the narcissists in my life, we talk about narcissism on this channel only right now, but it's mainly about non-violence and healing on a societal level. And so this is the issue that we're tackling. You can only handle one thing at a time, right? Your channel has to be about one thing here, and this is what we're tackling, but it ties in with a lot of different things. So I just wanted to say this is just a thank you to everybody who's watching, because you guys are amazing and your energy is amazing, and even though you need help, you're really solid, and so just give yourself some credit. And I just wanted to give you a little pep talk because I think you need it, and hopefully the people who need this get this. I know they will, because I just had I don't even want to admit, it's so weird that what just happened was I made a video because I felt inspired. I felt like the universe was giving me the go ahead, and I was like super stoked. I was like, yay, I get to make a video, because I always get this like heart call and then I do it, and I don't do it if it doesn't, because it always turns out awful if it's just like, oh, I'm just gonna make it because I want to make a video and I want to look good. And it's just like, of course I have the motivations of any normal human being where I want to be like, the best and top of my game, but it's like, who cares, right? I'm so imperfect. It's like the only thing I can do is accept my imperfection and just do the best I can. So that's what I'm here to do. And I always make a joke about the fact that there's always something off in my videos with me, and it may be just because that's a leftover residual from narcissistic abuse, where everything about me that was wrong was pointed out every day on a daily basis, no matter what I was doing. And I just put out a video to give you guys a little bit of my backstory, because I felt like I needed to. I was very self-conscious about doing this, even though I am so public about everything, and I was just like vocal about being in the loony bin and stuff like that. Now that I'm like more together, I'm like, I don't want to share those things, it's like, but you guys need them. So, and who's gonna hurt me now? It's like, this information's already out there. What are the narcissists gonna do? They're gonna be like, I read your poetry. Well, you read my poetry, great, another reader, It's like, great. What'd you find wrong? Do you have any editing for me? Because they're the best editors, I swear to God. When they do talk to me, I don't talk to them anymore though, and they know that for a fact. So if anybody's watching it, they're probably just curious if I'm talking about them or hurting them. I'm not trying to hurt any narcissist. I don't have anything against, I love everybody. I'm all for Jesus. Really, Jesus is awesome. And I really love that example of turning the other cheek, being there for people. But with narcissists, unfortunately, you have to have boundaries. You have to have a strong sense of self and resilience to be like, no thank you, which means you have to spot them first of all. And so I'm here to say to my existing readers, thank you, and to my new readers, hello, welcome. We're evolving as we go. I'm a little what's the word, haphazard. Slapdash would be the word. Sometimes I'm slapdash because I just get the call and I'm like, okay, I gotta put myself together, I gotta look perfect, but I don't really care about that as much as I care about like being here for you guys. And so it's like it's a delicate balance where I was just making a video, and I didn't want to post it because it was too imperfect, and a viewer posted a comment that was like directly related to the video I made. And it was something that I threw out, and I'm a psychic, and so I say, like, we're all connected, everything is happening at once, past, present, future, and a lot of people think this is weird stuff, I can't talk about it with them, and they try to persecute me for it. It's like, burn the witches, like all that stuff, but whatever. I'm gonna talk about it because it's the new day for a new earth of getting along with each other, or we're not gonna survive this apocalypse, I don't think. So it is like an apocalypse, isn't it? The pandemic. So anyways, I'm getting too excited. I'm gonna take a breath here and center and just say thank you for being here. You're probably wondering why I'm so happy talking about narcissism, because you're here and you're learning about it, whether you're a narcissist or a person suffering from narcissistic abuse. I'm just glad to have you here, and I'm glad that we're talking about this, and I'm glad that you're paying attention. The narcissists are probably paying attention to how I look, they probably are looking at my teeth, teeth or my face or my hair, something. So I totally understand that. Narcissists are perfectionists. They want things to be perfect. They're really obsessed with appearance. They're really obsessed with things being perfect, and I'm not about that here. I'm about, you know, how you would feel if you were a new mom, you have a 2-year-old, and you're just like, I'm so glad that I got some clothes on today. You know, and I'm not even a mom, so I'm just preparing someday if I decided to be a mom or adopt or be the mother to orphan children all over the world who are dealing with narcissism. Who knows? I know that that would be part of the task, is that you can't be perfect and be there all the time. So here I am, and that was just your long spiel to say it's okay to be imperfect, and I'm always going to say that. And narcissists are very much into you being perfect. They want you to be perfect. They want you to be together. They want you to look good so that they look good. That's really what it is. It's not about you looking good. And sure, I got a lot of my fashion sense from narcissists. I'll tell you, they had great style and sense because they were very into what was hip, what was fashionable, what looked good on me. They had good aesthetics. They were good at decorating. They had some skills. Narcissists have skills. We can put them to work doing things. But they're not healthy in interpersonal relationships. And so narcissists, I find, when they get to know you in a personal, intimate relationship, it's just not. I used to think I was immune. I don't know why I thought that. I really thought that I was immune to abuse, and so therefore I had a split, which is cognitive dissonance. So you'll learn about that for the newer people. Learn about cognitive dissonance, and this idea. I could either talk about two things today, so let's do a little toss of the hat. And talk about cognitive dissonance, because cognitive dissonance is very important for you to know. I had to be educated on this when I left and was going to counseling sessions over a period of, I believe it was like, I can't even remember. It was so a blur to me, but they had like a limited number of sessions. They extended them for me because I was such a mess. I mean, I don't think I was such a mess. And so I had to read a lot of material, and I had a lot of time because I was very, very ill to read a lot of material, and I made myself read. I forced myself to work full-time on learning about narcissism and recovery from narcissism, and that's why I'm qualified to talk to you about this, because I took that material to heart. I'd been reading about it for years, and I'd keep researching it every day. All the newest things in the field I keep up on as much as I can. I can't watch every video, but there's certain formative people who I follow and I've been following for a long time, who have a light in their eyes, who love helping people, and who are here to help, basically, and I want to carry that on, just pass it on, you know. So cognitive dissonance is when you do not comprehend what's actually happening. And so I had to do an exercise, and I'll tell you the exercise, where I had two sides of a piece of paper, and it was a very basic explanation of, like, you know, Mary has cognitive dissonance. Her partner is telling her that he loves her, but he's hitting her. And so it's like two different columns, right? What are they saying? And what are they doing? And I made myself do this. And it took me into a foray on coercive control, because that's what was happening. So I looked up PhD papers on coercive control, how coercive control is about grooming, you know, this is where the perfection thing comes in, back from what I was saying in the beginning as an intro. They are very big at grooming you, making you do everything that they want you to do. And if they're part of, seems to tie into materialism and society and even Americanism, I'm going to say sometimes, what people are identifying with, unfortunately. And I know that there's a lot of European-minded people in America, and there's a lot of diverse people in America, and so this is very horrifying, I think, for most Americans who are very into equality, you know. Anyways, I'm getting lost. I've been working my ass off to bring you these videos, and I'm gonna crash, I swear to God. I have to go to, I have a modeling class tomorrow. I promised my coach I would be there, and, you know, I need to get some gigs. So I'm just, but I love this so much. I'm just like, oh my God. I was like, should I even go? But I'm like, yes, I do need to find work, because it's, you know, necessary to pay the bills. It's necessary to do all this stuff, and this is not going to pay my bills. This is a charity act. So right now, and yeah, it may always be. That's totally cool, as long as I can do it, as long as I have the energy, as long as the universe is giving me the energy to do that. It's fine. This is what I'm here for. It's what I came back for. I had a near-death experience while suffering from abuse, and I decided to come back. This sounds funny, but I had no reason to live because I had lost everything. And I cannot tell you all the details, unfortunately. Maybe someday. I don't think so though, because it would hurt people involved, and I'm still involved with them. I'm still involved with my community, and I've already hurt them very badly by telling personal information, which earlier people saw and they have in their heads, and so there's nothing I can do about that. We make mistakes, but I think anybody going through my situation would have died, lost their shit, and so I still withheld a lot of information. And it doesn't matter, I don't need to make excuses, but I do feel sad about that. And I feel very sad to have hurt anybody, even a narcissist. I don't want to hurt anybody. I love narcissists. I love everybody. I don't want anybody to hurt. That's my MO. And they take advantage of this for sure because they know I care. And so they're just like, well, how can we get her to do things? Well, that's not going to happen anymore with me. So let's go back to the topic, cognitive dissonance. And I'm always talking to both here because I know it attracts both. Narcissists come here to study, like, how do empaths work? How does my formerly abused person work? And it's like, I'm here to teach the 5-year-olds narcissists how to be a little kinder to each other. Sometimes I do silly stuff because I am seriously in kindergarten here. I should be a kindergarten teacher the way this is going. So I do stuff like that because they like to be entertained. Usually they'll leave by now because it's just too weird. They don't like weird stuff. So narcissists are gone. They're gone. They're out of the room. So you guys are safe now. Unless there's some really resilient ones there that are just like super curious still, but it's not about them anymore, so they're gonna be bored. They already know about cognitive dissonance. They have to. Maybe they don't. Maybe they're still here. I have no idea, but I think by now, usually when I do funky stuff like that, lost their attention. And that's the only attention I used to want, was that of narcissists, like an idiot. Why? They never gave me anything back. They just took, and then they blamed me, and they told me that I was taking, because they project. All they can see is what they're doing. So anyways, cognitive dissonance, when you have a split, you do not see reality. You're not really seeing what is, and you're doing this because you're surviving. So do not force yourself to face the reality. If you are in a dangerous situation, get help. And it's gonna be painful, it's gonna be hard, but you can do it. You can even post here in the comments that you're doing it. You can talk about, this is a place where you can talk about it. And you can also find forums that are safe or more private to talk about it with. Melanie Tonia Evans has a very private forum that you can pay about, I think it's $200 for her whole coursework with all the visualizations to walk you through every step of the initial dealing with the narcissist that you're going through for some of you. And I would highly recommend that. I did that when I was at my wit's end, and it helped me. And I still go back to it sometimes, almost, maybe once a week actually, just to do a tune-up, because it gets rid of that junk that's attracting the narcissist. So there's a lot of junk attracting the narcissist. If you have dealt with abuse, your body holds on to it, and then it attracts more of it. So like attracts like, and it's the law of attraction. It just is what it is, right? So if you think about good things come. If you think about bad things come. You really have a lot more power than you think. But if you're in a situation where you're being abused and you're a victim, I know how hard it is, and I know that you only have so much power, because I've been there, where every single system in my life was failing, and I was a slave. I was trapped. I had no way out. I didn't want to live, and I was doing whatever I could to cope. So whatever you're doing, if you're doing drugs, if you're doing anything, whatever you're doing, do not beat yourself up, okay? That's the last thing you need right now. You can read a book if you're dealing with substance abuse called Hooked. It's really good. It talks about harm reduction. It was a number of years ago, but it's a very informative. And there's also Gabor Mate, who I highly recommend. There's a book called In the Realm of Hungry Ghosts. I know some of you are dealing with addiction or substance use, and that's the only way you can cope through the situation. Do not beat yourself up. Don't let anybody shame you. Don't go to any group that's going to tell you you're a bad person when you're being abused and you're using substances to cope. I'm just going to say no, because I did that, and it was wrong. I should not have had to deal with that, because I dealt with a moral persecution when I was dealing with abuse, and then it just continued throughout my life over and over again. Same situations over and over again, until some miracle happened that I died, and I decided to come back and teach about narcissism, literally. Once I came to, I was like, okay, this is what I want to do, because it seemed like I could use my experience of what I had learned during my entire life, which seemed like a total waste, just a waste, because everything I'd ever worked for was just meaningless. I even changed my name. You know, all my music, everything was associated with this terrible issue and situation, and then the way I freaked out and the way I got blamed again, like a scapegoat, black sheep. And I'm gonna write a book about, you know, black sheep, because I couldn't escape it. I'm a black sheep. I'm a scapegoat. I'm one of those people. I see what happens. I call it out. I get blamed. Whatever, dude. I own it. I'm gonna call out the problem. And then people can blame me all they want to avoid their own issues. Whatever they want to do, that's their shit. It's not my problem. Unless they're hurting me, and then I will contact the authorities. I will get groups. I will get people together. Even if it takes me years, I will find a way to get my power back. I always have my power. But sometimes people are not acknowledging it in the 3D, okay? So in the 5D, you always have your power. You do. You always have your power, no matter where you are. Just remember that. You are always free, no matter what's happening in your body, no matter what anybody's doing to you. You are always free. Just say that in your head, I am free. I know it's hard to say, but affirmations are number one for getting out of that cognitive dissonance where you split. And one of the papers that led me to disengage in the end, there was a lot of work I had to do to get to the point where I was going to leave, so don't beat yourself up if you're still in this situation. I had to spend many years reading about it, researching, doing things to cope and avoid, and beating myself up and trying to make it whatever, dude. So just be gentle with yourself. It's going to take a while for some of you to figure it out, and that's okay. It's okay. But if you're in a situation where you're being, you know yourself, okay? So you know yourself. But I would recommend, if you're in a situation where you're being abused and you are isolated and they're the only, call the National Domestic Violence Hotline, please. At least call them and talk to somebody, because that call is going to be so healing for you, and it's going to open the dam to every step you need to take after. That's the first step. For me, the first step was calling them. It was so hard. I had to dial the number. It was so embarrassing. And there was a guy, and he was gay, and he was like, honey, abusers never change. And I heard him, but I didn't leave for 5 years. I think it was 5. So, maybe 4, because, you know. And I don't like to talk about specifics, but, you know, sometimes I have to, because that's the facts, and it is what it is. I try to imagine what it would be like if, like, say, a narcissist started a channel and they were talking about me all the time, like my post-traumatic stress disorder, and like trying to educate on it. And I'm like, I guess I could handle that if they were being loving and they were being accurate. But if they were being inaccurate, I would have a really hard time. If it was affecting my work and family and home and everything else, I would have a hard time. And so that's why I always try to be inclusive and say, you know, it's really hard what I'm doing, because I'm like right in the midst of it. I couldn't escape it. I'm still here in it, you know. So, but you guys give me strength, and even the narcissists give me strength. They give me strength. They're here, they're watching. You guys are great. You're listening. You're learning something. If you're making fun of me, it's cool. What else, dude? You did that forever. So yeah, this is where I get to talk back to everybody, and people support it for whatever reason. I don't know what is going on with the universe that I'm supported right now, but it's like, dude, okay, I'm okay with it. I'll take it. Cognitive dissonance is when you split. So I read a paper, and I was reading many, many papers. That all was just to lead up to say I had read many papers, many books, all this stuff. And this one paper, everything came at the right time. They were all pieces in the puzzle of what I want to teach you. And this one was about splitting, and it was talking about violent abusers and how if they have a troubled childhood, often they do split into 2 personalities where they don't remember the abuse. And I think this was happening with some people in my life, and they just didn't remember, which is like convenient, right? And so I couldn't do anything about it. And I realized I was not remembering either, because I wasn't remembering what was happening. I wasn't consistent. I wasn't linear. Sometimes I was like, everything was cool. I have a great life. You know, it's so embarrassing when I look back at it and started to write what was really happening, and then had to face it, and then had to put it together. But once I did write what was happening and faced it and the trauma in your body will wait until the right moment to show. And so don't worry about that. Like, your body is going to get you safe before it's going to let you feel all that stuff. And then you're going to have some work to do because you avoided what was going on, but don't think about that now. Please don't let that be an inhibitor from healing. You just take one step at a time. You put one foot in front of the other. I still do that every day. One foot in front of the other. One thing at a time. Make sure that your goal is for your light in your heart and not for the narcissist. You are not here for the narcissist. And if you need an intervention, if you need family, if you need it's embarrassing, I know. And you have to be careful who you allow in your life after, because you already have that weakness, right? So you have to learn about it. So take your time, learn about it, be safe. If they're hitting you or hurting you, please call the domestic violence hotline. I know this is happening to a lot of you. You're being hurt, you're being hit, you're being yelled at. That is not okay. It's not okay, okay? And I'm not trying to shame anybody, but that is not legal. And they can never do that legally. So I have done research about America and the middle class and the amount of violence. There's a lot of violence. I'm gonna tell you, you're not alone. When I had to take a 52-week battery class, like I said, for fighting, and then had to face some of my own, violence, I learned that all over the US there's an issue with violence. And this is why I want to speak about this as well. That's why I started Peace Punk Production as well, because it's not just you, you're not alone. And that's what made it easier. You're not alone. There's a lot of people dealing with this, and it's all behind closed doors, and it's all kind of a middle class, working class issue of people being stressed out, taking out on each other, getting away with it in private, nobody talking about it. And so I'm like, well, I'm gonna talk about it. Of course I got shamed, humiliated, ostracized, all of it. And I was just like, okay, whatever. I'm not gonna be stopped now because I died and came back. What are you gonna do, kill me again? Okay, that's fun, great. I will be happy because I did my life work. I finally lived for myself and didn't live for a bunch of narcissists. And they can't make me do their bidding anymore like a little puppet. So if that sounds weird, well, if it sounds like a little like, yeah, well, I'm not gonna do that, because don't be prideful. You will be knocked down by the universe. So I apologize for that. I don't have any pride. I'm just a slowly little human like you guys, I swear to God. Everybody is just doing their best. Even narcissists, they're doing the best they have with the tools they have. And so just anger and hatred keeps you close to them. You wanna move away from them. I was gonna say, one way to get out of the cognitive dissonance is name what's going on, so that you can integrate, talk with a counselor, talk with a domestic violence organization. They're very good at working with a safety plan and working with whatever you have available. If it's a phone call, if it's whatever you have, call the domestic violence hotline 100 times in a row. I called them like 100 times. Maybe not that many, but I did call them very, very often. There was one time after I left that I just called like so many times, and there were times where I would get somebody and I was like, this isn't working for me. And I just call back and get a different person. You can do that. You don't have to take whatever counseling you get. You don't have to listen to whatever people tell you. Like, part of being away from them is like learning to be your own person and stand up for yourself. And if you have people like Melanie Tonia Evans or me or anybody else in your corner just kind of advocating that you constantly do that, you're going to be okay. You need cheerleaders, you need coaches, you need buddies. You can't do this alone. It's not something that you do alone. And I tried to do it alone. I went to the loony bin twice. And then the narcissist got to say I was crazy. People, I'm not going to say the narcissist, people that have been not treating me well got to say that I was crazy, and that was very relieving for them because they got off the hook, right? So you don't want that. Because it took the attention away from my healing, it took me away from this work, because I had to deal with that shit. I just told myself I was gonna cuss for teenagers. Sorry guys. So yeah, I'm a little punchy. I've been working a lot to try to get you guys these videos. I just have a feeling that I'm gonna get out a few, and then there's gonna be something coming up on the horizon that might keep me from doing them. So if that happens, just go back over the videos and I'll be back. I don't think this is gonna stop anytime soon, but I'm getting a sense that some things need to come out quickly now so that you guys have what you need, and then there might be a pause. If there's a pause, don't worry. Don't worry about me at all. I'm fine. I've got my needs met. I'm covered. Don't ever worry about anybody but yourself right now when you're dealing with this. Don't even worry about the narcissist. Just worry about your safety plan and worry about whether or not they're going to hurt you or kill you if you leave. That's what you need to know, because they do get very violent and angry when you, and do not call them out. Do not confirm that. Don't go on social media and try to point the finger, because it's just going to make it so that you end up in the loony bin, or they can use that information to hurt you, or they can say that you're slanting, whatever. Just be dignified, take the higher ground, and figure out what your cognitive dissonance is. Figure out what's really happening, and then once you accept what's really happening, there's no excuse for you to stay in the situation if it's going to lead to you not living your best life. You want to live your best life. I know you do. That's why you're here, and you can. You can. And it's always better. I mean, you could say your best life is this, right? Like, I wanted to have my own place and be free, and I am. And that's my best life. And then I have all these other goals too. I've had tons of goals and ambitions, but like everything that happens in addition to those things is a blessing. And I know for some of you that money is a huge issue. And I totally understand, and do whatever you can, you know. Somebody told me they had taken out a loan for $10,000 and they were worried about that because, you know, they had an abusive partner. They took me aside, somebody at work, and they shared a story with me that they told me they had an abusive partner, you know, because I was showing up all the time, and they were like, something's going on. And they just said, you know, they had worried so much about that money. Like, and years later, they're like, I don't even think about that. Like, it doesn't even mean anything to me. And I know, of course, debt, the pandemic, everything's a mess. It's a mess, but you can still find a way out. You can still find a way out. Just hang in there. I know it's that much harder. I know it's that much harder right now. And I'm going to acknowledge that. It's not easy. And so maybe all you can do is just educate right now. Just do that. Just educate. Educate. Sharpen your tools. I did that for years. I just read books, and I tried to call it out. I tried to point it out. I tried to talk about it with them. Nothing helped. Nothing stopped the behavior. Nothing changed the behavior. And it was always just a stopgap, because it would always snap back, because that's their core behavior is that. Their core behavior is swindling you, treating you like shit, putting you down. That's their core behavior. It doesn't matter why they're doing it. It's not okay. So this is my video about cognitive dissonance today, because somebody needs it. And even if it's just one person, if it's the one person that told me they were struggling, that's fine. That's what people do on the hotline. That's what people do. It's what you do. You turn around, you help other people. So that's the only thing I ask of you. If you do get out, try to help another person. It will make you feel really good to be able to even help somebody with a comment who's that much farther behind you on the path. And there's a path out. There's a way out. There's a way out. And there's a map. And there's tools. And there's people who can help you. And you'll find them one by one if you're willing. You will. You'll find a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. If you can survive with a narcissist, you can survive anything. Bottom line. I'm just going to say. That's the love sign. I don't want to leave you guys. I know you need me. Go back over the videos. I would say the best ones are the last 5, because, you know, I was going through it the whole time I'm making these videos, and you guys make me better. So the last 5 are probably the most relevant to you. But all the other ones have good information. I was going through various stages of health and all sorts of stress and dealing with the person I was still talking to. You know, I was having a hard time with no contact. And still, you know, it's still hard for me. I can say it's still hard for me, but you can have boundaries, and I haven't seen them. I haven't seen anybody involved in this for over a year and a half. Except maybe on a video, which was safer, like a video call. So if you get some distance, you'll be safer. And I had to have help. It took a whole village. I did not do this alone. If I told you how many people had helped me, you would be incredulous. I am one of those people that will drill up every single level of help I can. Everything. And I did. I used every resource available in the community. I'm a journalist. I will search whatever, and it still wasn't enough. And that's why I'm doing this. So I know how hard it is. and I know that the resources are limited, but you take what you can get, you do the best you can, and the best thing is when you can look back and say that you don't even think about them. Your life doesn't include them. I'll tell you when I get to that day. But you know, you're not obsessed. You're not hanging out in the guilt and the shame and all that stuff. You've cried it out. You've had the space to deal with it. And it's hard to talk about that when you're new. For some of the more further along people, you know, but the newer ones, it's just a minute, a breath, an hour at a time. And if you're still in it, it can seem like there's no way. I remember I was like, I would drink. I would like, you know, and then I'd get into trouble and I had to stop doing that. I would like. Anything I did to cope ended up being an issue for the people I was with. Anything I used to escape the abuse was a problem. And so nothing I could ever do was enough. And then so I just died. And then I finally got out like months later. And it was awful. It was awful. I have to say, man, the worst experience in my life. And I've been through some shit. I mean, I have been through some shit. So maybe I'll mention that later for you guys, but for now, just think about that. If you have two different realities, what's real, what's happening, what are they saying, what are they actually doing? And Nadia from Pussy Riot actually wrote a book about protesting. It's a really good book. I can't remember the name of it. I loaned it to a person who I don't speak with anymore. But it talks about power abusers and how they consistently abuse power. She's the one that taught me how to deal with this situation too. Much props to her and Pussy Riot actually, because she talks about power abuse, she talks about going to jail if you have to for standing up to abuse, any of that stuff, how it makes you stronger. I remember reading that and I was like, she's crazy, but now I know exactly what she's talking about because I had to deal with that. And also, she talked about power abuse. Power abusers abuse power consistently, so just note it and note it every time. And then you have a pattern and you can contact the authorities to get help. Even if you're calling the police, I remember the first time I called, it was just to document. I didn't even want them to come. I just wanted them to know so that I would have a record, so eventually it would stop, because they do keep records. And after a while, society will separate you from that person, and so you're giving yourself a buffer. And a lot of mistakes happen with that situation. You know, they always arrest one person in a domestic violence situation, so know that you're gonna lose money, you're gonna lose your partner, all this stuff is gonna be way more dramatic if you call and you don't know that. So they're not mediators. So only as a last resort, and I say never, you know, but I have called them and talked to them, I've had to. It was like the lesser of two evils, and they did help in their way that they knew how, which really messed us up. But, you know, they did the best they could with what they had and what they could see. They see a lot of stuff. They see the worst. And so they were like, we're going to make our decision, blah, blah, blah. And I trust that they made the best decision they knew how to with what tools they had. So just know that if you're a carpenter, everything's going to look like a nail, right? If you're a police officer, everything's going to look like either an arrest or a citation. So just be careful. And, yeah. I just want to say God bless you. Because you guys are the best. I don't, you're so strong. You may think I'm nuts, but I know. I can feel it. You guys are so strong. And you're going to get through this. I'm not going to get emotional because that, like, turns people off. But, like, man, you just, oh, man, my heart. It's just so worth it. It's worth coming back. Take it easy. Take care of yourself. Listen to some rock and roll. Do something fun, actually. Add something fun to your mix, okay? Take the pressure off. And don't do it around them. They don't like you to have fun. I noticed that. I was like trying to have fun towards the end, like really healing myself. And every time I was having fun, it was like an issue. So I was just like, are you really going to be a buzzkill on like everything I do? Yeah, they are. Yeah, so don't be happy around them. Whatever, dude. It's like you cannot win. It's like you're in grade school. They're just like, you can't be happy. I'm gonna be mean to you. Who does that? Only narcissists. Truly. And children. And people in junior high. And teenagers. Most humans. Okay. Well, let's try not to do that. And this is very long, so I'm gonna say goodbye. And I'll be back, guys. I know you're gonna I know you're gonna bleed through these, and I know it's not enough. So go look at Melanie Tonia Evans and some other people I've mentioned. Get some books. You're gonna be all right.